What's up, everybody? I'm Don Ferguson, and welcome to join me in the Teak Life Basement Bar for another episode of Something New, where we are trying Weller Antique 107. So, yeah, 2 bottles here. We're only going to crack open the one, and actually, we're going to do a couple of pours right away. This is the first time that I've ever done this because what I want to do is let this breathe. I want to allow it to open up so that way we can aerate it and get a lot of those aromas, get a lot of that taste. It's just been sitting in the bottle way too long. I don't know. I mean, I got it, a couple weeks ago, so it's been sitting way too long. And yes, we're doing a double pour, because why not? Anyway, Weller. This is a very famous brand. Extremely famous. Like, it's hard to come by. We're going to get into that. So, before we start this, there are a lot of whiskey and bourbon aficionados out there that know a lot about the brand, a lot about whiskeys and bourbons, and that's not what we do on this show. On this platform, we approach tasting as a consumer, as an everyday average consumer who is trying something new. This just happens to be one of those whiskeys, one of those bourbons that are phenomenal that we had the opportunity to get ourselves a hold of, and we wanted to talk a little bit more in depth. So if you know a lot about whiskeys and bourbons already, enjoy. If you don't, you've kind of come to the right place because we're approaching this like a consumer. So let's just dive in, start to get some of this aroma. Now, as far as what I could research with this Weller, their composition, their mash, really is kind of undisclosed. But it's typically 70% corn, 14% malted barley, and 16% wheat. Now, Weller, and you can see right on the label, the original wheated bourbon. And while we let this breathe a little bit more, and man, the aroma is just striking me. It's so good. I'm anxious, but we're going to calm down. Back in the day, long time ago, they used to use rye. So Weller is rumored to be the first whiskey bourbon, that actually used wheat to kind of soften it and tone it down. And we'll get into W.L. Weller a little bit more. Now, this is aged 6 to 7 years in virgin American white oak barrels. It is a wheated bourbon, like I say, and they replaced the rye with wheat. And it's so the rye is usually a secondary grain. Corn, it has to be, for bourbon, it has to be 51% corn, and then, you kind of go from there. So if you see a rye whiskey, they're continuing with the rye. A wheated bourbon, they're using the wheat. So one of the more famous ones that actually uses a wheat as well is Maker's Mark, from what I've seen. The aroma. Now, I do have the Glencairn glass. I would highly recommend you getting one of these glasses for nosing, for sipping. Makes all the difference in the world. Maybe one day we'll be able to afford some Teak Life Glencairn. I don't know. But if there's anybody that has a hookup, hook a brother up. The aroma. Like, you're getting some good caramel, some vanilla, almost like a butterscotch, a cocoa, taffy. It does have wood, so I'm definitely picking up wood. With a virgin barrel, you're going to get some of that. There's no doubt about that. This is just a phenomenal. We'll set the dessert over here right now. Yeah, it's just so phenomenal. And the other thing about it is, with such a high proof, 107, that definitely, if you got hair on your chest, it could curl it a little bit. But there's a lot of other ones, like vodka. I'll just be honest. Sometimes it has like an ethanol, alcohol aroma that it burns your eyes. And I don't know if anybody's ever done that, where you've gone to take a sip and that alcohol just rushes up and it hits your eyes and it stings, makes your eyes water. At 107 proof, this doesn't do that. And that's what's absolutely phenomenal about this. So we've nosed enough. Let's go in for a taste. Typically you can swirl it around. I think it's called the, Kentucky Swish or something. I can't remember what it's actually called. But man, a lot of great sweetness there. You're picking up a good sweet caramel. You get some of that vanilla. It's almost like a honey. Like you're almost getting a honey flavor with an oak. Kind of reminds me of kettle corn. Interesting, huh? Okay, so the first kind of opens up your palate. Now we're going to get a lot more of those flavors. Just resting it. And 107, you're getting on the finish, there's really not a lot of burn. There's a slight little spice, but it's almost like a wheat sweetness. This is just a fantastic, unbelievable sipping bourbon, and it's one that this is going to be savored. This is not for when friends come over and they want to watch UFC. No, I got some other stuff for you, and it's around 10, 15 bucks, whatever. That's what you're drinking. This is just absolutely amazing. So yeah, it's got a great color to it, a beautiful, golden hue. I mean, almost to match that straw. And this is what I like about, these glasses too, is that you can really let it breathe. You can let it get out there. You can see the legs dripping. It's just, the glass makes the difference. So Weller is named, we're going to get into some fun facts here. So Weller is named after William LaRue Weller. And he's rumored to be the very first person to use wheat in a mash bill. Now that's a rumor. Now it was produced first in 1849, and using the wheat, it created a softer and smoother whiskey bourbon. And he had a slogan, an honest whiskey for an honest price. So here's where it gets tricky, because it is very popular. It's hard to find. So I think retail, I don't know, maybe it's around like $35 depending on where you live. But on the aftermarket, which for bourbon is very popular, I've seen this go upwards of $80 to $85, $90. So I don't know, William, about that honest price anymore, because that secondary market is really, really pumping it up. And back in the day, what he used to do is to make sure that it was an authentic Weller product. On his invoices, he had a green thumbprint to make sure that you knew this was a real Weller. Because I'm sure back then, people were trying to bootleg it. The crowds went crazy for it. It was softer, it was smoother. It was just selling like absolute, madhouse. So people were buying it. The W.L. Weller Distillery was one of 6 distilleries in the U.S. that was granted a license to actually distill and produce whiskey during Prohibition. I don't know why they were granted, but that's just something that I came across, and I thought that was very interesting. Because I know, with me being a tequila guy, I love tequila. During Prohibition, that's when tequila started to be introduced. So this was kind of the first time that I heard of a distillery that was actually licensed to be able to, produce something during Prohibition. And I just heard actually recently that people are drinking more than ever since before Prohibition. So, fun little fact for you there too is we're drinking strong here in America, which is fantastic. It just has great characteristics. I mean, it's full-bodied. It has great depth to it, amazing flavors. So, if you ever run across a bottle of this and you want to send it to me, I will gladly take it off your hand. But I'm just saying, pick it up. This is a top-notch bourbon, especially if you can find it for the state minimum price. It's just absolutely ridiculous. I poured this because I wanted it to breathe a little bit more, but really I just wanted an excuse to drink another. Why not? But 100% Teak Life approved brand. I would highly suggest, if you get a chance and you see it at an establishment, pick it up. order, but sip it. This is something that you want to experience because there's just so many great flavors to it. But be careful, it still is 107 proof. I mean, it's up there. I don't feel it because I'm a professional. But if you're just starting out in the whiskey bourbon realm, it's going to creep up on you very quick. Now, the other thing is you can open it up with a couple of droplets of water. This is something that I definitely would not do an ice cube. I would probably not even do whiskey rocks. I like it room temperature to just experience everything. And man, these legs are just tripping down. And read about that. Read about the viscosity. Read about a lot of things. Educate yourself. But this is from a consumer that Weller, fantastic brand. So thank you for joining me in the Teak Life Basement Bar, where I'm going to finish both of these. Subscribe to the Teak Life YouTube channel. Follow us on Facebook. If you have something that you want us to talk about and get a little bit of visibility and exposure, email us. You can do that all on the website, teaklife.com. So cheers for now. I'm going to finish up, and we'll see you again soon.